I oftentimes get a lot of messages from people asking me to cover more like foreign politics, like big events and things that are happening in places that aren't America, because a lot of my content is very America centric. But I do think it's important to broaden the horizons of my content and start covering things that are happening outside of America, even on the other side of the world, even if there may be a pretty significant language barrier between me and like the people in question that are dealing with the issue I may be discussing. And today, I'm going to be talking about an event that happened a couple nights ago. That is, at least it was nighttime for me. That was without a doubt probably one of the most tragic events in the history of Thailand. I believe it was the largest mass shooting in the country's entire history. Occurred a couple nights ago. There was definitely a bit of hubbub on Twitter about it, but naturally the American political pundits weren't really discussing it. And I saw the story, and it really is fucked up. It's very tragic. A lot of people were killed, and this is a very, very tragic and significant event in Thailand. And I do think it's important to cover because, I mean, if a massive shooting of this type happened here, I'd be covering it. Why not cover it if it's happening on the other side of the world? With that said, Thailand does have strict gun laws. So this did leave a lot of Americans wondering, a lot of liberal Americans wondering, well, how did this happen? Well, as it turns out, there actually isn't as much compelling evidence that gun control laws prevent mass shootings as is heavily suggested. Gun control laws overwhelmingly seem to have an impact on the reduction of self-inflicted gunshot wounds, both accidental and intended. But these are usually done by law-abiding gun owners. Most criminal gun activity, not most, but a lot of criminal gun activity, well, a lot of it's done with illegal firearms. So that doesn't do as much as I think a lot of people think it would do. Regardless, most of the time mass shootings are not as common as even Americans would think they are. They're huge events that get a lot of attention, but usually it just kind of fades into the background after a while because statistically they are not a very large proportion of gun deaths, even if there are, admittedly, way too many gun deaths in America. Thailand, on the other hand, is a completely different story. But we're going to go over this New York Times article that breaks it down, why the gun laws in the gun control laws in Thailand did not have an impact on this shooting. And I'm sure this is going to break down a lot of the story behind it and everything and summarize it. But yeah, I think it's important to discuss this because not only is it a story relevant, on a broadly world scale, but also I think there's things we can learn about it that can apply to American politics as well. Why strict but inconsistent gun laws did not keep Thailand safe. Firearm policy is tough for some people and lax for others, a recipe for problems. The horrific attack by an ex-policeman may spur calls for change, but it will not be easy. As the Thai authorities investigate Thursday's ghastly mass killing of 36 people by a former police officer, ACAB by the way, doesn't matter where they're from, ACAB, they are also confronting the role of their own ranks in the country's distorted gun market and gun culture. The gunman, Panya Kamrab, 34, used a 9mm pistol he obtained legally, the police said. He also owned a shotgun, and before he was fired from the police force in June on drug possession charges, both would have been easy for him to buy. Thailand's security forces can purchase as many weapons as they want through the government, and at a steep discount. Ooh, they even get a discount, ain't that nice? Civilians seeking to buy guns, by contrast, face tough laws and high prices. It's almost like a society in which the police and the state are armed, but the civilians are not, is not in fact a polite society. A disparity that creates perverse incentives and other problems. In some cases, it has led those charged with public safety to sell caches of weapons for profit. That's right, police officers who are able to buy guns not only with almost entire exclusivity because of their rank, but also with discounts, are reselling their guns to civilians. Who could have guessed? Who could have possibly guessed this would happen? In rarer moments of horror, they have turned their guns on the innocent. We will surely have to do something. A Newton, that is an amazing name. Sharn Virakul, the health minister, said on Friday, when asked whether he was concerned about security officers being involved in shootings. I'm sure that the people in charge, the prime minister, the chief of police, will surely consider it and try to tighten the enforcement as much as they can. The challenge for Thailand is immense. A nation of 70 million people, stratified by class and long shaped by military rule, now finds itself grappling with an unspeakable act of violence tied in parts, experts say, to gun laws and a gun culture rife with loopholes and financial incentives for the country's most powerful institutions and elites. If you're going to have an armed population, it can't just be those that are supporters of the state and the elites that are armed. There needs to be the working class needs to be able to be armed as well. Much like Marx said, I do agree with the Marx quote. Under no circumstances should firearms be what was the word for it? There was the exact term was like some boomer fucking what was it, like the 1800s in Marx's life? Like 1800 speak, suffered or burdened away from some weird, like it would sound like a Tolkien quote. Okay, it was basically saying, Marx said, don't let the working class give up their guns. They shouldn't happen, and if it happens, then fight it, because that's not good. That was the quote. Okay, that's literally word for word the quote. Exactly. I did not get a single word wrong with that quote. That is exactly what Marx said. Thank you. Guns may not mark political identity in Thailand the way they do in the United States, but to a degree not seen in most Asian countries, they have come to represent forces that are always resistant to change, power, prestige, and money. Resistant to change, power, prestige, and money. Like other status symbols, guns are what some have and many want. So basically, it's like flex culture in Thailand with guns, It's like flexing that you can get a gun and that you have one. It's almost like showing off and flexing a nice watch or a car. Only it's a watch or a car that can kill people by pressing a button in there and pointing it in a certain direction. That helps explain why an action followed an earlier mass shooting in Thailand. In February 2020, a disgruntled soldier shot and killed 29 people at a shopping mall and an army base. Senior military officials called immediately for a gun policy overhaul, but within a few months, the conversation faded as attention turned to anti-government protests. And in the case of Thursday's attack, the gun issue is fused with other problems: drugs and mental health. Mr. Kamrab used both a gun and a knife to kill 23 children at a daycare center, many of them too young to tie their own shoes. Additionally, he killed his wife, their son, and himself a few hours after appearing in court on a drug charge. In all, 37 people died, excluding the gunman. Some government officials have been quick to deflect any systemic diagnosis. As Prawit Wongsuwan, what an amazing name, the deputy prime minister said, when asked about the killer's law enforcement past, "What can we do? He's a drug addict." What can we do? He was a drug addict. We can't. Why improve our institutions for offering mental health care to people? Why improve access to care for getting help with drug addiction, safe injection sites, free rehab? No. What can we do? They're drug addicts. They're subhuman. Wait for them to do some violence and then you kill them like a cyber psycho in Night City. Let's live in the fucking dystopia. Let's not do anything about it. Let's get yeah. Bolstering the case for those who see the latest episode as a one-off tragedy, the homicide rate in Thailand is not especially high, with statistics from a few years ago putting it below the Philippines, far below murder capitals like Honduras, and roughly in line with New York City before the coronavirus pandemic. All right, guys, I've gotten quite a few. For one, I've got family members from the Philippines, so they've told me stories, horror stories about the government there. But I've also got a lot of friends from the Philippines that have been telling me horror stories about it. And as I said, I do want to get into more like foreign politics as well. Expect me to do a fair amount of content in the future on the Philippines government, particularly the president. Expect that. It's going to happen. There's a reason why the crime rates are so low, and they're not good reasons. But Thursday's murder of 24 small children committed during nap time. Oh my god, oh fucking god. Oh. Something about reading that just makes your fucking skin crawl. But Thursday's murder of 24 small children committed during nap time in colorful classrooms has horrified the nation. Many people, in government and out, see the massacre as an indictment of more than just one man. They fear that easy access to weapons, especially for security forces, has already made life less secure. Last month, an army officer shot dead 2 colleagues at a military college in Bangkok. Murders have also been concentrated in areas of southern Thailand with high levels of militarization and gun ownership, while video clips of men waving a weapon around in traffic disputes or just to show it off has spread from social media to the nightly news. This sounds like it is due in large part to a fucking brawlic fucking gun culture, it seems. Sounds like dudes in Thailand are just like strutting down the street with their AK, firing around like, "Hey guys, check out my gun!" Just flexing on everybody. Like, look, I've got a gun. It goes bang, and I could shoot somebody with it if I wanted to. And it seems like it's leading to a pretty unhealthy gun culture over there. That's not good. It's definitely not good. It's not exactly like that. I'm from southern Thailand, and a lot of people are shooting each other over here. What's the story behind it, JP? I'm curious. As somebody who lives there, I'm actually really curious to hear your general on the ground view of what's the result. What is causing so much gun violence? Is it wealth disparity or something? Why so many shootings in southern Thailand? Around 5,000 deaths and more than southern fire. A range of explanations for this violence in this island have been offered by academics, journalists, and others. Terrorism, insurgency, and gangsterism have all been introduced as labels for components of the violence. This article is motivated by the need to re-examine the empirical foundations of these explanations. We focus on 2 case study districts that illustrate some of the key trends, ambiguities, and inconsistencies. We're particularly concerned to eliminate interactions between criminal violence, violence generated by personal disputes, and violence motivated by retribution. Based on the available evidence, our estimation is that a relatively modest proportion of the violence in Thailand's deep south over the past 10 years can be directly linked to insurgent or terrorist activities. To conclude, we pose challenging questions about the nature of criminality, insurgency, and politics, not just in Thailand's deep south, but in the country as a whole. This is a paper. Interesting. It seems like insurgencies and terrorist activities are the main cause of a lot of the violence in the south of Thailand. Interesting. There's probably a lot more to learn about all that. I'll have to look into it. These internal conditions, if we are not going to do anything about it, it will be a time bomb where mass killing, mass shootings like these will continue happening, said Rangsimon Rome, a member of parliament from the Move Forward party. He added that a number of officers were trained to be like a destroyer machine, which can end up pointing weapons at anybody. Critics are demanding higher standards in policy and behavior, especially for the 230,000 members of the Royal Thai Police and for the country's military, including an army of more than 245,000. For most people, Thailand's gun restrictions are already strict. Assault weapons are banned. There are What's an assault weapon? I hate it. I fucking hate it. Stop. Liberal news outlets, stop using the term assault weapon. Destroy that word. It makes lefts look so fucking bad every time you use the fucking term assault weapon. People who know about guns and know how guns work cringe at the term assault weapon. I don't care if it's a political term. People that know about guns think that it makes liberals look out of touch when it comes to guns. Conservatives, nobody who likes guns and likes owning guns wants to feel like people that don't know anything about guns are determining gun policy. Please stop using the stupid fucking phrase assault weapons. It is not a real term. There is no such thing as an assault weapon. There are assault rifles, okay? What is an assault weapon? It's just a political term. It's made up by liberal media outlets. It's a word that describes the guns that look like they are really scary for mass shootings. That's what it means. Sorry, I get triggered when I see it, okay? I want the left to win, And guns are probably one of the biggest losing points the left has in America, okay? The left has to stop going after guns. It is going to be a loss on, and being anti-gun is a loss for the left nonstop over and over again. Ad infinitum. I don't know what the fucking Latin is. There's no way you win the gun debate at being anti-gun in America. It's just not going to work. The left is suiciding itself every time they go on the anti-gun arcs, especially Democrats. So I don't even know what that means. Assault weapons are banned. I'm just gonna guess any long rifle. I'm guessing this just means long rifles. I'm guessing this literally just means like long rifles that have any type of semi-automatic or automatic functionality. And maybe, yeah, does this include like bump stocks or other like modifications or additions that simulate rapid fire? Like, I don't know. Okay. There are limits on the amounts of guns and ammunition that can be sold or owned, and civilians must pay an import tax of 40% to buy a firearm legally. Those would-be buyers must also undergo a background check and provide a reason for ownership, such as hunting or self-defense. Possessing a gun illegally carries a prison sentence up to 10 years and a fine of 20,000 baht, about $535. Wow. I was really scared. That sounded like a scary amount of money when I saw 20,000, but then I saw 535 and I was like, oh, yeah. that's definitely like a pretty bad fine, but like that's really only illegal for, okay, the up to 10 years in prison is definitely scary. But if you only get hit with the fine, then that's basically only illegal for rich people. And in the first place, it's basically only illegal to get a gun if you're not rich at this point, by the looks of the way the laws work. In my home town, there's a guy angry off this girlfriend, and he shot an M14 in front of the pub to scare the girlfriend off. So it just sounds like there's like a huge issue with like people being armed and there not being a very strong foothold of law in the south of Thailand. And so shit like that just happens. That's definitely unfortunate. Sad to hear that. But laws are more porous than they might seem. There are no mental health or drug tests, as Japan and other countries with low levels of gun violence require. Gun permits mostly exist only on paper. Enforcement tends to be haphazard, which often encourages corruption. It took me quite a while to obtain my permit, and I was buying mine as an MP, Mr. Rome said. Others, he added, pay under the table to make it easy. Or they just head for the black market. A Glock 19 Gen 5 from a licensed dealer can cost $2,000 with a 6-month wait. Online, it might cost half that, said Michael Picard, an independent researcher who studies the arms trade and has conducted field work in Thailand. He said a police officer could buy the same gun around $600. Damn, sounds like arms dealers have a very strong foothold in southern Thailand then. There's probably a lot more that goes into this. There are criminal organizations that have a vested interest in upholding the state of affairs in southern Thailand. With those prices, an officer could very well make a healthy profit, Mr. Picard said. On top of that, they can extort black market buyers by threatening arrest or exposure as a way of leveraging further bribes, he added. When I was tracking black market sellers on social media sites, I once saw a seller dox several of his buyers by posting screenshots of their personal information from a government database. The cops that are illegally selling arms to people, these illegal arms dealers in Thailand, are doxing their clients online. That is not where I expected this story to go. Guns have been entering the country from all sides for decades, smuggled from Cambodia, run back and forth from Myanmar. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, of Thailand's 10 million privately owned guns, only 6 million are registered. According to estimates from gunpolicy.org, which tracks weapons worldwide, an additional 1.2 million or so are held directly by defense forces and the police. Paul Chambers, a lecturer and special advisor on international affairs at Narusan University in northern Thailand, said the proliferation of firearms reflects, in part, Thailand's history and simple math, with Thailand having 14 coups since... Wow. That's a record. Guinness? Guinness? Call up Guinness. With Thailand having 14 coups since 1932. I'm sorry. Is Thailand the Horde from World of Warcraft? How many coups can a state have? Like I can only imagine what, like, there are people alive in Thailand who've been alive for all 14 coups. What's it? That's like how I imagine like random civilians in the Horde are like when it's like, Thrall is the war chief. The war chief. Things are pretty good right now. Okay, yeah, things are pretty Zul'jin? Okay, or sorry, no, it was, Garrosh? Oh, okay, he's doing war crimes. Oh god, this is bad. Okay, we gotta overthrow this guy. Okay, time to coup him. Okay, now, Zul'jin's in power. Okay, Zul'jin's a pretty cool guy. He's doing a good job. Oh, he's dead! He's dead after a week. Okay, that's bad. Okay, we need to put someone else in power. Sylvanas, you're in power now. Oh, you're doing war crimes too? Okay, fuck. Okay, now you're out of power. Oh, wait, you want to destroy the universe? Okay, that's bad. Okay, we gotta defeat you. Okay, now you're dealt with. Okay, let's just have a council now. That's basically how I imagine being a civilian in the Horde in World of Warcraft. That is a lot of coups. I am sorry. Thailand is, in fact, a PvP zone. At least southern Thailand seems to be. Definitely not a starting zone. Coup is in the family business here? Jesus Christ. With Thailand, or cooing is a family business here. That is a hell of a quote. With Thailand having had 14 coups since 1932, the military and police are ubiquitous, and so are their guns. So it sounds like there are literally generations of people from different regimes, all kind of like ideologically and literally fighting it out. This is a country that desperately needs stability. The most recent coup in 2014 has added what some described as a heavy malaise. The military has retained power and influence, acting as a brake on democratic reform. There's a sense of hopelessness, that there's no way to effect any real change in the available political avenues, said Matthew Wheeler, a senior analyst at Bangkok for International Crisis Group. Video clips making the rounds on Thai news channels and YouTube suggest that some people are asserting themselves with guns and in public for all to see. Arguments in restaurants and neighborhoods have led to people brandishing weapons. That's literally the kind of shit that you just referenced, JP, where like a guy walked out in front of a restaurant to shoot a gun to scare a girl that had rejected him. In some cases from a few months ago, a man who had been driving a large SUV pulls a gun out only to have it pulled away by a man in bike shorts after what happened to be a minor incident. Why are you carrying a gun? The cyclist asks. In another, a man driving next to a woman shows off his gun in a seeming attempt at intimidating flirtation. We have to admit that Thai people feel that when they own a gun, it makes them feel like they have power, said Krishanafong Putakul. Of course it does. When everybody else has guns and is using the guns in threatening ways, that enforces a culture in which you feel like getting a gun and using it to exert power is the only way to protect yourself, which keeps the cycle going. It's literally Night City. I'm sorry, like, who knew that, like, dystopian fucking media about the future and about the state and capitalism and institutions ruining the lives of the people might have actual impact on the real world. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, 100%. It's a cycle of people feeling threatened and needing to arm themselves to feel safe and to feel as though they can assert, like, some sort of dominance to keep, like, their fucking territory or their families safe, and it just keeps a cycle of violence going. You can't just stop. You can't just opt out when everyone else around you is arming themselves and using that being armed to exert power for their own protection. That just makes you look weak. Am I not wrong? Am I not right? Like, if you want to protect yourself, it seems like, yeah, you should arm yourself if you can in Thailand. Yeah. Like, yeah, it seems like arming yourself is actually a smart idea. It doesn't seem like there's anyone who's going to protect you otherwise, especially if you're, like, in that area. It seems like it's a good idea. Yeah, you should probably arm yourself if you can. This power, he added, has to be examined and regulated. And that is the final sentence of the entire article. So yeah, as you can see, there is a lot of fucking shit going on in the world that I do think American left-wing political pundits need to start talking about. There are a lot of people all around the world looking to have the issues that they care about that are affecting them discussed, and I don't know. I don't expect that every political live streamer or left-wing political figure should be like getting into like the politics of every single other country. Maybe that's not what they're built for. It's not what they want to do. It's fine. But I definitely want to. I think it's important. And these are places that, who knows, maybe one day I might end up visiting. I would like to visit these countries and talk about the issues that are happening there and see them with my own eyes, film them with my own eyes. That's what these conservative propagandists do. When they want to make some propaganda point, they go to these countries and do some documentary. I'd like to do documentary videos about real issues that are happening in these countries that a lot of Americans don't even know about. I'd love to make that kind of content. Over here, you have a chance to get into jail a lot. I almost got into jail because I criticized the government. Yeah. Freedom of speech and freedom to criticize the government is a very rare right in the world. A lot of people take it for granted. There's a surprising amount of countries in the world where you are not allowed to criticize the government. That is a freedom that, as an American, it definitely is easy to take for granted. It really, really is. So if you're watching this and you're American, don't take that shit for granted. There are a lot of people out there who live in a country where if they criticize the government online, they criticize the president, anything like that, they might get a knock on their door. And it won't be a friendly one. That's for damn sure. Hell, might even be getting the door kicked down. With that said, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon, and turn on all notifications if you want to see more from me on my channel, especially if you're interested in me doing more, just broader, like, world politics stuff like this. Dropping support on videos like this tells me this is the kind of stuff that you guys actually want to see. When I do real political coverage and you guys don't actually watch it, it just tells me you guys don't actually care, which is sad. It's definitely sad to see that, a lot of you guys don't seem to care as much about like real political stuff that's not like random culture war issues or like, oh, let's make fun of this reactionary YouTuber. Let's talk about a real issue. Watch this stuff, drop support. It's important. These are issues that a lot of Americans need to hear about. Not even just Americans, but a lot of people in the West need to hear about. I think it's important to raise awareness about this stuff. So drop your support. Follow my social media down below if you want to see more from me. If you've got the money for it and you don't need it for anything else, you can also support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live. Or you can just support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.